Hey friends, welcome to tonight's relaxing philosophy for sleep. This slow-spoken, bedtime gentle narration is designed to help you unwind, clear your mind, and drift into a peaceful night's rest. Imagine this: the soft glow of the moon through your window, the subtle hum of a distant breeze outside, and the quiet pulse of your own thoughts slowing down. You're here now, and the world is slowing too. You probably never realized philosophy could lull you to sleep so peacefully. But here we are, Stoic teachings leading you toward calm and comfort, one thought at a time. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's a cozy corner of the internet where we'll find our way to serenity together. And feel free to share your location and the time where you're tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Let's start with a concept that's as ancient as it is deeply calming: control. It's one of the first things Stoicism teaches us, the idea of understanding what you can control and, just as importantly, what you can't. In our modern lives, this idea might seem simple, but its application can be deeply transformative. Think about your day so far. You might have had things you wanted to go perfectly, maybe a task at work, a conversation, or some plans. We all know how things don't always go as planned, and that can bring frustration, anxiety, and sometimes even a restless night. But Stoicism teaches that the key to peace lies in this acceptance. We can control our own actions, our responses, but not the external world around us. Imagine how freeing it is to let go of that need to control everything. What's outside your influence, whether other people's decisions or the unpredictability of life, doesn't have to trouble you. Picture this: you inhale deeply and let the worries of the day fall away as you exhale. You don't have to fix every little thing around you. You can't, so you can relax. It's not your job to manage every single variable. Let's bring that idea closer to home. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us." What this really means is, while you can't stop a sudden change in your routine or some unexpected stress from happening, you do have control over how you react. Instead of letting anger or frustration take hold, you have the power to center yourself. By embracing this, you become free to make choices from a place of inner peace rather than reaction. And isn't that a peaceful way to approach sleep too? When your mind isn't tangled up in anger, regrets, or anxiety, sleep comes easier. You could picture yourself going to bed, not burdened by the worries of the day, but gently letting them go. A calm mind is your ticket to the deep, restorative rest you crave now. Let's think about impermanence, the Stoic acceptance of change. Life, in all its beauty, is fleeting, ever-shifting, and unpredictable. Every night the sun sets and rises again. Every day brings its own little surprises, moments that may challenge your peace. But one of the greatest Stoic practices is to embrace impermanence, to truly see and accept the world for what it is, constantly changing. The ancient Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Don't waste time on what you don't have control over. Do what is in your power and let go of what is not." And with that, he reminded himself that all things, no matter how grand or tragic, are temporary. Even the worst of days or the most turbulent thoughts will pass, just like the seasons change. For you, in this very moment, all you need to do is sit with the present. Feel the peace in that. Your day has been and gone. The tasks you didn't finish. Tomorrow's problem. Right now, you can just be. The way your breath feels as it moves in and out. The rhythm of your heartbeat. This moment is enough. And this moment is always fleeting. Think about it. What is time, really? We know that time marches forward, but for tonight, we can ignore that relentless ticking of the clock. You have no appointments, no tasks, no urgency. The only thing that's real right now is the quiet of your breath and the peace in your heart. Isn't that a gift? You don't need to worry about the next second, minute, or hour. Right here, right now. It's all you need. This is a great lesson in letting go of your obsession with the future, with what may or may not come. You're allowed to rest. The future can wait. You can take this time to simply exist in a peaceful state, allowing the serenity of the moment to sink deeper into your bones. As the night wears on, let yourself be reminded that your rest doesn't depend on external factors. It comes from within, from your own ability to let go. So let's slow it down even more now, a little deeper. Here's the thing. You are at peace because you've chosen to embrace what you can control and let go of the rest. You've taken the first step into a more mindful state, letting go of your worries and concerns. Resting in the knowledge that you don't need to carry them to bed with you. The act of letting go is incredibly powerful. It's not passive, it's active. You are choosing, right now, to allow yourself peace. The next time your thoughts begin to drift into a space of worry or what-ifs, gently guide them back. It's a practice, and every time you catch yourself, it's a victory. The less you carry with you, the more space you create for restful sleep. Think of it as preparing for sleep, letting go of the day, of the past, and making space for the rest your body and mind crave. Your thoughts become lighter with each breath. Each moment you allow yourself to simply exist without the weight of external expectations. And in that simplicity lies tranquility. Tonight, when you lie down to sleep, remember that you don't need to fix everything. Life is filled with things beyond your control. But you right here have control over your peace. And that peace will carry you into deep, restorative rest. Let's dive a little deeper into the notion of control, what it really means, and why it's crucial for cultivating peace, especially when it comes to settling into a restful sleep. Imagine this for a moment. Your day is over, the lights are dimmed, and you're about to lay down for a quiet night. But before sleep can settle in, the mind races with the endless list of things that didn't go right today. Things you wish you could change, or things you feel you should have done differently. These thoughts, though natural, are a trap. Here's the thing. Stoic philosophy teaches that what matters most is understanding that you only have control over yourself, your actions, your thoughts, your choices, but not the world around you. That's where peace begins. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that your circumstances determine how peaceful your mind will be. The truth, though, is that while you can't control how the day unfolded, how others behave, or the events beyond your reach, you can always control how you respond to them. When you grasp this concept, you're set free. You stop giving away your inner peace to things outside your control, which in turn allows you to find a calm space to rest. Imagine the relief of knowing that no matter what happened today, you've already done your best and you've done what you could. It's liberating. And the best part is, it means you don't have to carry the weight of every uncontrollable moment into your sleep. There's a certain freedom in releasing the need to control everything. Think about your breath for a moment. It flows in and out naturally, no effort required on your part. Just like breathing, the wisdom of Stoicism shows that you can let go of trying to manage every detail in your life. It's an exercise in trusting that the world will unfold as it does, without needing to micromanage it. You don't need to be the one to make everything fall into place. You only need to focus on how you react. This is the essence of tranquility. The less you feel the need to control, the more room you create for peaceful, restful sleep. Imagine a day when you're free from the burden of constant worry, when you can lie down and know that your value isn't tied to outcomes, but to how you choose to meet the moment. That peace will follow you into the night. Your thoughts can quiet down when you remind yourself, as the Stoics did, that you can only control how you act in the world, not the world itself. So, let's get more specific about how to apply this concept in your own life. When you lay down tonight, take a deep breath. Think back over the events of the day, without judgment. What could you have controlled? Perhaps you could have been more patient in a conversation, or taken a little more time to think before reacting. Those are the moments you can focus on. Recognize your part in things, then let the rest go. The things you didn't control, they're no longer your responsibility tonight. The events, the outcomes, they're out of your hands now. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, you will have many opportunities to practice patience, to forgive, and to be content. But the only moment that matters is this one, now. When you lay your head down tonight, let the moments of the day fade into the past, and only focus on the here and now. In this moment, you're safe, you're calm, and you're ready for rest. Think about it. This is your time to truly unwind. You've done what you can, and now you don't need to think of anything else. As your body sinks deeper into your bed, imagine that you're letting go of the day. The pressure of needing to change things falls away, and in its place, you create space for relaxation. That's the beauty of embracing what you can control. It's not about being perfect. It's about acknowledging what you can impact and releasing the rest. Here's a simple exercise you can try tonight. It's one Stoic practice that can shift your perspective when you lie down to sleep. Mentally list the things you accomplished today, big or small. Did you help someone? Did you take a step toward a personal goal? Did you remain calm in a difficult situation? Acknowledge those wins, however minor they might seem. Then, mentally say to yourself, I did what I could today. Now, I let go. This is an active act of releasing control, and it clears your mind for rest. It's like taking a mental sigh of relief, releasing all the things you can't change. Just as importantly, don't forget to be kind to yourself. In Stoicism, one of the central tenets is being compassionate toward yourself. Perfection isn't the goal. Instead, focus on progress. And once you make that shift, once you release the need to fix or control every little thing, you'll feel the peace settle in, like a soft blanket over your mind. At that point, you'll notice something beautiful, the space you've made for sleep. You won't be thinking about tomorrow or dwelling on the past. You'll simply be here, breathing in the stillness of the night. By this point, it's clear, control is an illusion, and when you let go of trying to manage everything, you find true peace. The more you practice letting go, the easier it gets. You'll find that not only is your sleep improved, but your day-to-day life becomes less stressful as well. The Stoic principle of controlling what you can and releasing what you can't is a practice, not a one-time fix. It takes time and effort to rewire your thinking, but every time you return to it, it brings you closer to a place of inner peace. And it's not just about sleep, it's about living more fully in the moment. So, take tonight as an opportunity to practice this. When your mind starts to race with worries or thoughts of things outside your control, gently remind yourself that this is your time to rest. Everything else can wait. You've already done what you could today. As you settle deeper into your bed, let go of the weight of the world and embrace the quiet peace that's waiting for you. Now that we've started to embrace the idea of control, let's talk about something that goes hand in hand with it: impermanence. The Stoics were keenly aware of the transient nature of life, and they used this awareness to cultivate a sense of peace, especially in moments when the world feels uncertain or overwhelming. Here's the thing: nothing lasts forever. The people, the moments, the feelings we experience today, they are all temporary. While this might sound unsettling at first, there's a quiet comfort in it. By accepting the impermanence of life, you can stop clinging to things that don't serve you, and instead, you can make peace with the natural ebb and flow of existence. Now, when it comes to sleep, this principle is incredibly helpful. So many of us spend our nights holding on to the events of the day or worrying about what tomorrow may bring. But what if you didn't have to do that? What if you allowed yourself to be at peace with the fact that everything good or bad passes? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about impermanence. He often reminded himself that the things he was experiencing, no matter how important they seemed, would eventually fade away. Everything we see will soon pass, he said. This isn't a gloomy thought, it's a liberating one. It means that the difficulties you face right now, the challenges that might seem overwhelming, are not permanent. They are just passing moments. And the same goes for the joys, the good times. They're fleeting too. Everything is in flux, and when you accept this, you stop holding on so tightly to what cannot last. This insight has the power to ease your mind and heart, especially when it's time to sleep. When you lie down tonight, instead of clinging to the weight of the day or stressing about tomorrow, allow yourself to acknowledge that everything will change. The moments of today, whether they were filled with joy, frustration, or sorrow, already gone. All that's left is the present, and it's enough. Let this thought be the one that carries you into sleep tonight. Let's go a step further with this idea. Think about the impermanence of emotions. We often think of our feelings as fixed and unchangeable, but the truth is, they come and go. Have you ever had a moment where you were incredibly upset, only to find that a few hours later, that feeling had faded into something else? Or perhaps you woke up feeling anxious and, by the end of the day, felt at ease. Emotions, like everything else, are temporary. This is incredibly liberating because it means you don't have to get stuck in any one emotional state. Anger, sadness, anxiety, they all pass. And this passing is natural. The more you embrace the idea that your feelings are fleeting, the easier it becomes to let go of them. In fact, the Stoics taught that this is one of the keys to emotional resilience, recognizing that emotions are transient, and instead of identifying with them, simply observing them as they come and go. This can make all the difference in how you approach sleep. When you lay down tonight, acknowledge any emotions that might be lingering. If there's anxiety or frustration, recognize that it is not who you are. It's just a feeling, here for a while, and then gone. You don't have to carry it into your sleep. By accepting the impermanence of your emotional state, you can create space for peace and relaxation. You can also think of impermanence in relation to the world around you. Have you ever gone outside, looked at the sky, and realized how much has changed since the last time you saw it. The seasons shift, the weather changes, and even the landscape itself is constantly evolving. This is the rhythm of life. Nature doesn't resist, change it, embraces it. And so, as you prepare for sleep, you can take comfort in the natural world's example. The world keeps moving, shifting, and changing, and so too will the challenges and moments in your own life. Nothing stays the same forever. It's the very nature of existence. When you acknowledge this, there's a sense of peace that comes with it. You realize that the worries of today are part of a larger flow. Just as the seasons change, your current struggles will pass too. And with that realization, sleep becomes easier. You no longer feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. Instead, you recognize that everything is temporary, and that includes the challenges you face. This understanding of impermanence also encourages you to cherish the present moment more deeply. When you know that the present will never come again in quite the same way, you begin to value it more. Instead of rushing through life or constantly looking forward to the next thing, you become more attuned to what's happening right now. The feeling of your breath as it enters and leaves your body, the sound of the wind outside, the warmth of your blanket, these small moments become precious when you understand that they won't last forever. And this awareness brings a sense of peace. You start to let go of the constant striving for the future or the longing for the past, and instead you embrace the now. So, as you lie in bed tonight, take a moment to reflect on the impermanence of everything around you. Acknowledge the transient nature of your thoughts, your emotions, and even the day you've just lived. Let go of anything that might be clinging to your mind. The things you can't control. They are not yours to fix tonight. And the things you did accomplish today, they too are gone. And you can rest knowing you did your best. The world continues to turn, and you, in this moment, have the peace of knowing that everything changes, and that change includes the challenges of today. You don't have to carry them any longer. Allow yourself to feel the relief in that. Let this realization wash over you like a gentle wave, carrying away the weight of the day. You are allowed to rest, to release, and to simply be. Sleep is your time to surrender to the rhythm of life's impermanence. As you drift into slumber, trust that all things, good and bad, will pass, and in their place, you find the stillness you need. Let's now focus on the power of thought, the way your mind shapes the reality around you, especially when it comes to winding down and preparing for sleep. Stoicism teaches that the mind is incredibly powerful. What you think about the world influences how you experience it. This is one of the most essential aspects of Stoic philosophy, that we are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by how we think about what happens. The ancient philosopher Epictetus, who spent much of his life as a slave, insisted that while we may not control the external circumstances of our lives, we always control our internal responses. You see, the events of the world may be beyond our control, but the thoughts we entertain, well, those are ours to shape. This means that even as you prepare to fall asleep, you have the power to choose how you respond to the day's challenges, your thoughts, and the emotions tied to them. Think about how many times we lie in bed, replaying events from the day, conversations, tasks, worries on. Feel those feelings of stress or tension rising. It's almost as though we can't escape our own thoughts, and yet the Stoics remind us that we are not slaves to them. You don't have to let every thought dictate your mood. You can train your mind to redirect its focus, to let go of the chatter and noise, and bring yourself back to a place of peace. As you prepare for sleep, Consider how you want your mind to feel: calm, centered, at ease. One of the most simple yet powerful Stoic exercises for sleep is the practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of misfortunes. But before you imagine this as a negative exercise, think of it as a way of taking control of your reactions to inevitable challenges. Instead of lying in bed and worrying about all the things that could go wrong, consider how you might face them with equanimity. What would it look like if you met your challenges with calmness, understanding that things won't always go your way, and that's okay? You might even consider it as a mental rehearsal, preparing your mind for the unexpected, rather than fearing it. When you do this, you prepare yourself for whatever comes, and the uncertainty no longer becomes a source of anxiety. You realize that you've already mentally equipped yourself to handle it. The Stoics weren't about avoiding discomfort. They were about changing the way they reacted to it. This doesn't mean you welcome misfortune, but it does mean that you can greet it with an understanding that you have the tools to respond with calmness, not panic. So, as you lie in bed tonight, don't let your mind spiral into worst-case scenarios or rehash what happened earlier in the day. Instead, think about how you can view the next day or any challenges through the lens of what you can control: your thoughts, your responses, and your peace. And here's something interesting. Philosophers still argue whether the mind has the ability to create its own sense of peace, or whether it merely reacts to external circumstances. Some argue that peace is a constant state within us, just waiting to be uncovered, while others believe it's only found in external harmony. What the Stoics would tell us, however, is that it doesn't really matter what the world is doing around you. What matters is what's happening inside you. Your thoughts create your inner world. If you are at peace internally, you will be at peace no matter what's going on outside. It's like the eye of a storm. The chaos is all around, but in the center, there's stillness. Imagine for a moment, in the chaos of your day, you can still be the eye of your own storm, centered and calm. When you go to sleep tonight, instead of allowing your thoughts to swirl into restlessness, imagine yourself as that calm center. Let your mind be still, focusing only on the peaceful rhythm of your breath and the comfort of your body sinking deeper into rest. When you focus on this, you create an internal environment of tranquility that doesn't depend on the world's chaos now. Let's talk about how to actually use your thoughts to foster peace before bed. A simple practice is to mentally list things you're grateful for. This is not a mere exercise in optimism. It's a way of training your brain to focus on the positive, on what's going well, instead of ruminating on what went wrong. It's easy to get caught up in the disappointments or frustrations of the day. But when you turn your attention to gratitude, you reframe your mind. Stoicism isn't about denying the struggles or challenges of life. It's about choosing to focus on what you can be thankful for, even in difficult moments. Gratitude is a practice that invites peace because it shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance. As you lie in bed, reflect on the small things that brought you peace today, no matter how insignificant they may seem. Maybe it was a quiet moment with a loved one, or the warm cup of tea you had. Maybe it was the way you handled a stressful situation with grace. These small wins matter. These are the things that, when acknowledged, can help your mind feel lighter and more at ease. When your thoughts turn to gratitude, the worries of the day have less power over you. They fade into the background as your mind rests on the things you appreciate. And remember, as you lay there drifting towards sleep, your thoughts are like a river, they flow continuously. But you have the ability to direct their course. The Stoics practiced mindfulness of thought. knowing that, unchecked, the mind can wander aimlessly, feeding on fear, doubt, and worry. But with practice, you can gently guide it towards peace. Every time you bring your thoughts back to gratitude or calm, you train your mind to become more attuned to stillness. So, when you lie down tonight, remember, your thoughts are yours to direct. You can choose to focus on what's restful and peaceful instead of what's stressful or chaotic. Let your mind rest on the stillness and allow the peace to flow through you, guiding you gently into sleep, as we've discussed. Sleep is a time for releasing the day's grip on you, for detaching from what you can't control, and for guiding your thoughts towards peace. So tonight, when your head hits the pillow, take a deep breath and let go. You've already done everything you could today. Now, rest in the peace of knowing that tomorrow is a new opportunity, and the only thing you truly control right now is your ability to rest and rejuvenate. Let's now explore the role of virtue in achieving peace and tranquility, particularly as it relates to sleep. Virtue, in Stoic philosophy, is not just about doing good or being moral in a conventional sense. It's about aligning yourself with your highest values and striving for inner excellence. The Stoics believed that the practice of virtue was the key to living a good life and, in turn, achieving peace of mind. But how does this relate to sleep, you might ask? Here's the thing. When you live in accordance with your values, you feel more at peace with yourself, and this peace naturally extends to your ability to rest. Think about it. When you're out of alignment with your core values, when you've acted in ways that don't align with who you truly are, it's much harder to find peace, especially at night. Your mind races with guilt, regret, or frustration, and your body follows suit, holding on to that tension. But when you align with your values, when you live virtuously, there's a natural calm that comes with it. You've done your best to live honestly, kindly, and with integrity, and that brings a deep sense of satisfaction. That's what allows for deep, restorative rest. Knowing you've acted in ways that are in line with your true self. Virtue, according to the Stoics, is a practice. It's not something that happens in an instant, but a way of life that you cultivate over time. The Stoics believed in cultivating four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues form the foundation of their teachings and provide a path to inner peace. Let's break down each one briefly and consider how they might enhance your sense of calm as you prepare for sleep. Wisdom, in Stoic terms, is about understanding the world as it truly is, not as you wish it to be. It's about seeing things clearly, without illusion or distortion. The clearer your understanding of reality, the less likely you are to become frustrated or upset by things that are beyond your control. When you live with wisdom, you accept that things won't always go the way you want, and that's okay. Instead of worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, you focus on what you can do in the present moment. Wisdom brings peace because it teaches you to accept things as they are, not as you wish they were. As you lie in bed tonight, think about the wisdom you've gained throughout the day. What have you learned? What has life taught you? Wisdom invites you to acknowledge the impermanence of the day and to accept that everything unfolds as it's meant to. This acceptance is the root of peace. Courage, the second Stoic virtue, is about facing life's challenges head. It's not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. Courage allows you to face discomfort, difficulty, and adversity with grace. It's easy to become fearful or anxious about the unknown, whether it's the challenges of tomorrow, the unpredictability of life, or the uncertainties you may face. But courage teaches you that fear is not an obstacle. but an invitation to grow. When you embrace courage, you let go of the fear that keeps you awake at night. You stop fearing what might happen and start trusting in your ability to handle whatever comes. Courage gives you the strength to face your worries and take them in stride, knowing you have the tools to respond. So, as you prepare for sleep tonight, think about the times when you've been courageous. You've faced challenges before and made it through, and you'll do it again. Courage reminds you that no matter what comes tomorrow, you can handle it. Justice, the third virtue, is about living in harmony with others, treating them with fairness and respect. When you live justly, you contribute to the well-being of those around you, and in doing so, you also cultivate a sense of peace within yourself. In the context of sleep, justice invites you to be at peace with your relationships. If you've acted in ways that are just and fair, there's no need to lie awake, worrying about past interactions or unresolved conflicts. When you live justly, you can rest easy knowing that you've treated others with respect and that you've done your part too. Maintain healthy relationships. This sense of harmony is deeply relaxing. As you lie down tonight, think about the ways you've lived justly today. Have you been kind? Have you acted with fairness and respect? Justice in your actions brings peace to your mind, and that peace extends to your ability to rest. Temperance, the final virtue, is about self-control and moderation. It's about recognizing that indulgence in excess, whether in food, drink, or even thoughts, can disrupt your sense of balance. Temperance is about knowing when to stop, when to slow down, and when to rest. In the modern world, it's easy to fall into patterns of overindulgence. Whether it's staying up too late, overworking, or letting your mind run rampant with anxious thoughts. But temperance teaches you the value of moderation. It's about balancing your desires with what's truly best for you. When you practice temperance, you allow yourself the space to rest and recharge. You create a sense of order in your life, and that order brings peace. Before you go to sleep tonight, think about how you've practiced moderation throughout your day. Did you pace yourself? Did you allow yourself time to rest, to relax, and to enjoy life without excess? When you practice temperance, you're honoring your need for balance, and that balance allows for restful sleep. Living virtuously isn't about perfection, it's about continual effort to align yourself with your highest values. Every time you choose wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance, you are choosing peace. When you live in alignment with these virtues, you reduce the mental noise that makes sleep difficult. You free yourself from the internal conflict that can keep you awake at night. Virtue brings peace because it aligns your actions with your values, allowing you to rest easy knowing that you've acted in ways that reflect your true self. As you settle into bed tonight, remember that the practice of virtue doesn't require perfection, only a commitment to strive for what is good and true. In that commitment lies peace, and in that peace lies the key to a restful night's sleep. Now, let's turn to a concept that often keeps us awake at night: worry. Stoicism teaches us that worry is a waste of energy. In fact, the Stoics believed that worrying about things outside your control was not only unhelpful, but actually harmful to your peace of mind. So much of the stress we feel during the day, and especially as we try to fall asleep at night, is rooted in this constant cycle of worry. What will tomorrow bring? Did I make the right decision today? What if something goes wrong? These thoughts spin in our minds like a hamster on a wheel, never quite getting anywhere. But the Stoics argue that this worrying is entirely unnecessary. There's a famous Stoic practice called negative visualization, which might sound a bit strange at first, but it's incredibly effective. Negative visualization involves imagining the worst-case scenario and then accepting it mentally. Not to dwell in despair, but to come to peace with the fact that we cannot control everything. It's a way of reframing our relationship with fear and anxiety. Instead of letting worry take hold, you can mentally prepare yourself for potential challenges. By doing this, you free yourself from the grip of fear. Because once you've mentally accepted the worst, there's no reason to keep worrying about it. Think of it this way. When you lie in bed, your mind races with thoughts about the future. What's going to happen tomorrow, next week, or next month? The Stoics would tell you to ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And once you've acknowledged it, ask yourself another question. Can I handle it? Because, as the Stoics believed, we have the power to choose our response to whatever comes our way. The situation itself might be out of your hands, but your reaction is yours to control. You can meet life's difficulties with courage, with a calm mind, and with the knowledge that no matter what happens, you will face it with wisdom. This realization, in itself, is deeply freeing. And when you apply this mindset to sleep, it's transformative. The moment you stop worrying about what might happen tomorrow or what's still left undone, you create space for peace. You make the conscious choice to let go of anxiety, allowing your mind to rest. Instead of lying awake, thinking about everything you have to do, think about how you will handle whatever comes, with grace and strength. Let's delve a little deeper into the nature of worry itself. The Stoics often pointed out that most of the things we worry about are either completely out of our control or highly unlikely to happen. For example, how many times have you stayed up late thinking about a problem, only to wake up the next day and realize it wasn't as big of an issue as you once thought? Or worse, how many times have you imagined the worst possible scenario and then wasted energy worrying about something that never even came to pass? The Stoics encouraged us to ask ourselves whether our worries are based on real facts or simply our imagination. They called this premeditation, examining our thoughts before allowing them to spiral into unnecessary fear. They recognize that much of our suffering comes from our minds, from things we make up or exaggerate in our heads. By practicing negative visualization, you prevent yourself from being caught off guard by fears because you've already mentally prepared yourself. The key is realizing that the vast majority of things we worry about never actually materialize. And even if they do, you're already equipped to handle them. Worrying is essentially rehearsing something that may never happen. And even if it does, you've already figured out how you'll respond. Think of this as a practice in trust, not just in the world, but in yourself. Trust that you can face challenges. Trust that you will know how to handle what comes. And trust that worrying about things out of your control doesn't change anything. It only prevents you from experiencing peace. The Stoic idea here is to focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your attitude, and let go of everything else. This shift in mindset is incredibly powerful, and it's a practice you can use every night before you sleep. Before you close your eyes, acknowledge the things you're worried about, and then release them. You don't need to carry them into tomorrow. You don't need to keep turning them over in your mind. Trust that you've done what you can, and now it's time to rest. If worry creeps in during the night, gently remind yourself that it's not helping. Worry doesn't change the future, it only robs you of peace. Now, let's consider how we can practice this Stoic idea of releasing worry more effectively. One helpful technique is to write down the things you're worried about before you go to bed. Take a piece of paper and jot down everything that's on your mind, every task, every uncertainty, every fear. This simple act of writing down your worries can help you externalize them, taking them out of your mind and onto the page. Once you've written them down, look at them and ask yourself 2 questions. 1. Is this something I can control or change? 2. If it's out of my control, what is the point of worrying about it? The Stoics were known for their mental clarity, and this exercise can help bring the same clarity to your own thoughts. It allows you to separate what you can do something about from what's beyond your reach. Once you've done that, put the paper away, out of sight, and allow yourself to let go of those worries for the night. Remind yourself that you've given your best effort, and tomorrow is a new day. By practicing this simple exercise, you'll train your mind to release worries more easily, making it that much easier to sleep. In closing, let's reflect on how worry affects your ability to rest. The Stoics believed that peace comes not from external circumstances, but from within. Worry robs you of that peace, preventing you from experiencing the full benefits of restful sleep. But by practicing Stoic principles like negative visualization, reflection, and detachment from what you can't control, you can create a mental space of calm and relaxation. So, as you lie in bed tonight, remember that worry doesn't serve you. It doesn't solve problems, and it doesn't change the future. What it does do, however, is keep you awake, stealing the peace you deserve. Instead of worrying, choose to trust yourself. Trust that whatever tomorrow holds, you will face it with wisdom and strength. Let go of the need to control every outcome and allow yourself to rest, knowing that your mind and body need this time to recharge. The world will still turn tomorrow, and you'll be ready for it, but for now, sleep is your gift. As we continue to explore Stoic philosophy, let's now consider the powerful practice of reflection. Reflection, especially before sleep, is one of the most calming activities you can incorporate into your evening routine. It's a chance to look back on the day, not with judgment, but with thoughtful consideration. The Stoics, in particular, were known for their nightly reflections, as it was a way for them to check their progress, learn from their actions, and clear their minds before rest. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, kept a journal, writing down his thoughts, his feelings, and his reflections on the day. This practice wasn't just about reflecting on the events themselves. It was about reflecting on how he responded to them. It's easy to get caught up in the external noise of the day, the work, the conversations, the things you must do, but the Stoics encourage us to turn inward, to examine how we reacted and what we can learn from our actions. This isn't a space for self-criticism, but for self-awareness and growth. When you reflect on your day, it becomes easier to let go of any lingering frustrations or concerns. You allow yourself the opportunity to acknowledge what went well, what didn't, and how you can approach tomorrow with more wisdom. Think of it as a reset for your mind, an opportunity to release the weight of the day and make peace with it. The key to reflection is not to dwell on mistakes or failures, but to approach it with a spirit of curiosity. Reflection should be a time of gentle inquiry, not harsh judgment. You might start by asking yourself simple questions. Did I act in a way that aligns with my values today? Was I patient with myself and others? Did I react to challenges with grace, or did I let my emotions take control? These questions are not about finding faults. They are about understanding yourself better, so that tomorrow can be a better version of today. Reflection is an invitation to grow, not a space to punish yourself. It's a way to gently remind yourself of what's important, and to release the weight of what no longer serves you. This process of reflection can be especially helpful before sleep. When you pause for a moment to reflect, you are not simply reliving the day, you are learning from it. And that learning allows you to rest with a clearer mind. For example, let's say you had a challenging conversation earlier. You might have felt frustration or disappointment. Reflection allows you to look at that moment from a different angle. Instead of replaying the argument in your mind or letting it cloud your thoughts, you can ask, what did I learn from that conversation? Was there something I could have done differently? This doesn't mean overthinking the situation or becoming consumed by it. It simply means using the opportunity to grow. Maybe you learn that patience is something you want to cultivate more of, or perhaps you realize that you didn't communicate as clearly as you could have. These insights are invaluable, but they don't need to take up space in your mind once the day has passed. Once you've reflected, let go of it. The Stoics taught that we don't need to carry the burdens of the day into our rest. When we reflect, we gather the lessons, and then we set those lessons down, leaving them behind for tomorrow's application. This practice of releasing what no longer serves you is incredibly powerful, and it's one of the easiest ways to bring peace to your mind before sleep. Now, let's talk about the practical side of reflection. It doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. In fact, the beauty of Stoic reflection lies in its simplicity. You don't need a lengthy journal or hours of quiet contemplation. It can be done in a few minutes before bed, and it doesn't need to be structured. You can simply close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think about the day. Reflect on how you handled situations, what went well, and what could be improved. Allow yourself to acknowledge any emotional moments without judgment, and gently let them go. This practice is all about clearing your mind, creating space for rest. Imagine that your thoughts are like leaves floating on a stream. You don't need to grab them or hold on to them. You can simply watch them float by. The more you practice this kind of mindful reflection, the more natural it becomes. You'll find that, over time, you are better able to release your day before sleep, and that your mind will feel clearer, calmer, and more prepared for rest. It's also important to recognize that reflection is not about perfection. The Stoics didn't believe in being flawless. They believed in striving for improvement. You are not expected to have every moment of your day figured out, and your reflections don't have to be perfect either. What's important is the act of looking inward and asking yourself, how can I be better tomorrow? This gentle inquiry is enough to unlock greater peace and understanding, and it's this peace that makes sleep possible. When you give yourself permission to let go of the day, to forgive yourself for your imperfections, and to embrace the lessons of your actions, your mind becomes quieter, your body more at ease, and sleep comes naturally. One of the most beautiful aspects of Stoic reflection is that it teaches you to be present. Instead of replaying past events or projecting future worries, you focus on the here and now. The past is gone, and the future is unknown. Reflection reminds you to live in the present moment, to learn from today without being attached to it. In this way, you free yourself from the weight of past regrets and future anxieties, both of which can rob you of peaceful sleep. As you reflect tonight, notice how much lighter you feel once you've let go of the need to change or fix the past. When you release those lingering thoughts, you create a peaceful space for rest. In addition, reflection is a powerful tool for cultivating gratitude. As you think back on your day, you may realize there are many things to be thankful for: small moments, acts of kindness, or personal victories. Gratitude is one of the most effective ways to shift your focus away from stress or anxiety, and it naturally promotes calm. Reflecting on what you're grateful for doesn't just bring peace to your mind, it invites a sense of contentment and joy, which makes sleep that much sweeter. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, remember that reflection is a gift you give yourself. It's an opportunity to pause, to look inward, and to cultivate peace. Reflect on the day's lessons, acknowledge your efforts, and then let them go. Allow your mind to become clear and still, so that you can drift off into sleep with a heart at ease. As we continue this journey toward restful sleep, let's dive into the Stoic understanding of pain and pleasure, and how recognizing their duality can significantly enhance your ability to find peace. Pain and pleasure, as the Stoics saw it, are not good or bad in and of themselves. They are simply experiences that we attach meaning to. In a world where comfort and happiness are often seen as the ultimate goals, Stoicism offers a counter-narrative. Pleasure is fleeting, and pain is inevitable. But it's not the pain or pleasure that truly matters, it's how you respond to them. The Stoics taught that both pleasure and pain are temporary, and that neither should be feared or overly pursued. For those seeking restful sleep, this perspective is invaluable. How many times have you tried to sleep, only to be kept awake by the discomfort of a restless body or an unsettled mind? The discomfort seems like an obstacle, something that stands between you and the peaceful rest you crave. But here's the Stoic reframe. Instead of resisting discomfort, why not simply accept it for what it is? Pain, both physical and emotional, is part of the human experience. But so is pleasure. And neither of them lasts forever. In fact, the more you resist pain or cling to pleasure, the more you amplify their presence. This applies directly to sleep. When we lie awake, uncomfortable, we often add fuel to the fire by wishing the discomfort would go away. We begin to overthink the sensation, whether it's the stiffness in your back or the anxiety about tomorrow's tasks. But by resisting it, you only prolong it. Instead, try this. When discomfort arises, whether it's physical or mental, simply acknowledge it without judgment. Say to yourself, "This is discomfort. This too shall pass." By recognizing pain or discomfort as a temporary experience, you create space to focus on your breath, your body, and the present moment. The Stoic belief in detaching from external circumstances to control your internal state is profoundly empowering. When you stop seeing pain as an obstacle and start viewing it as part of the ebb and flow of life, it loses its power to keep you awake or anxious. This mindset is incredibly helpful when it comes to sleep. Think about the next time you find yourself tossing and turning, unable to get comfortable. Rather than focusing on the pain or frustration, shift your focus to the impermanence of the sensation. Whether it's a mental worry or a physical discomfort, remind yourself that it won't last forever. The discomfort you're feeling right now is just a moment in time, and in the grand scheme of things, it will pass. This is where Stoicism truly shines. It encourages us to be present in our discomfort without attaching negative emotions to it. This approach doesn't mean you ignore your discomfort or pretend it isn't there. It means you accept it without resistance. You choose not to let it dictate your state of mind, and this is incredibly freeing. When you stop resisting pain, whether physical or emotional, it becomes much easier to release it. You free yourself from the constant struggle to avoid discomfort, and instead, you make peace with it. The next time you feel restless or uneasy in bed, practice this Stoic shift. Rather than fixating on how uncomfortable you feel, simply acknowledge it and let it be. You may be surprised at how quickly it fades away when you stop holding on to it. On the flip side, pleasure is often pursued with the same intensity as pain is avoided. In a world where pleasure is seen as a measure of success, the Stoics caution against overindulgence. They argued that chasing pleasure leads to imbalance, because pleasure, by nature, is temporary. Think about it. When you've experienced a moment of pleasure, whether it's enjoying a delicious meal, spending time with a loved one, or experiencing an exhilarating moment, how long does it really last? Soon, the feeling fades, and you're left chasing the next source of pleasure. This cycle can lead to dissatisfaction because we begin to rely on external sources of happiness, expecting them to provide long-term fulfillment. The Stoics didn't deny the value of pleasure, but they warned against making it the central pursuit of life. Instead, they believed in living in accordance with virtue and accepting pleasure when it arises, but not being dependent on it. For restful sleep, this Stoic perspective on pleasure is incredibly useful. How many times have you found yourself unable to sleep because your mind is racing with thoughts about what you want or what you feel you need in order to feel content? This constant desire for more success, more things, more validation can prevent you from experiencing true rest. The Stoics remind us that seeking external sources of pleasure can be exhausting. But by practicing moderation and appreciating the fleeting nature of pleasure, we create space for inner peace. This is especially helpful when you're winding down for the night. Instead of thinking about all the things you want or wish you had, practice gratitude for the simple moments of pleasure you've experienced throughout the day, without clinging to them. By doing this, you release the need for constant stimulation and allow your mind to relax. The more you let go of the need to chase after pleasure, the easier it becomes to sleep peacefully. Pain and pleasure, then, are two sides of the same coin. They come and go, just like the events of your day. The Stoic goal isn't to eliminate either one, but to approach both with equanimity. When you can face discomfort without resistance and appreciate pleasure without attachment, you unlock a deep sense of inner peace, and that peace is the key to restful sleep. Imagine lying in bed, fully aware of any discomfort you might be feeling, whether physical or mental, but choosing to accept it without judgment. Imagine recognizing that the discomfort, whether it's worry or a physical ache, is temporary and doesn't need to control your state of mind. And in the same breath, imagine appreciating the small pleasures of your day without craving more. This balance between acceptance and appreciation is what the Stoics taught, and it's a practice that can transform your relationship with sleep. By recognizing the impermanence of both pain and pleasure, you stop clinging to either one, creating space for peace to settle in. As you prepare to rest, remember that discomfort is just a moment, and pleasure is fleeting. The only thing that remains constant is your ability to respond with calmness and acceptance, and in that acceptance, sleep finds its way to you. As we continue our journey toward peace and restful sleep, let's explore a powerful Stoic practice, the art of letting go of expectations. So much of the stress and unrest we experience, especially when it comes to sleep, stems from unmet expectations. Think about it. We set standards for how we think the day should unfold, how others should behave, and how our lives should look. When those expectations aren't met, it creates a sense of frustration, disappointment, or even anger. These emotions can stick with us, swirling in our minds as we try to sleep, preventing us from finding peace. The Stoics understood that expecting things to go a certain way, or for others to behave in the way we want, is a recipe for dissatisfaction. Epictetus, one of the central Stoic philosophers, argued that expectations are the root of disappointment. instead of attaching ourselves to specific outcomes. Stoicism teaches us to focus on the process, to engage in life fully without getting fixated on a particular result. This practice of detaching from expectations is incredibly liberating, especially when it comes to sleep. By learning to accept things as they are without insisting that they should be different to, create space for peace. Imagine for a moment that, as you lie down to sleep, you could release the expectations that have been lingering in your mind all day. Instead of thinking, "I should have finished that project," or "I should have handled that conversation better," you simply let those thoughts go. You stop holding on to the idea that things need to be a certain way for you to be at peace. This release of expectations is a gift to yourself. It's a way of saying, "I accept what is. I am at peace with what has happened today, and what will happen tomorrow will unfold as it should." This practice of letting go of expectations also allows you to let go of attachment. In Stoic philosophy, attachment is viewed as one of the sources of suffering. We become attached to outcomes, people, and even specific moments in time, believing that we need them in order to be happy. When we don't get what we expect, or when things don't go according to plan, we feel a sense of loss or frustration. The Stoics, however, encourage us to let go of this attachment, not because they believe we should live in isolation, but because they understand that attachment keeps us from experiencing true peace. By releasing the need for things to be a certain way, we free ourselves from the grip of anxiety. Think about how many times, before sleep, you've replayed a conversation or an event in your head, wishing it had gone differently. "I should have said this," or "Why didn't I do that?" These expectations, these what-ifs, keep us trapped in the past, unable to move forward. The Stoics would argue that in order to find peace, you need to let go of those expectations. They teach that you don't have to change the past to find peace in the present. Instead of wishing things had gone differently, you accept that they happened the way they did and choose to focus on how you will move forward. Letting go of expectations isn't about resigning yourself to a life of passivity. It's about embracing what is, right here, right now. For example, think about how you approach your day. How often do you have a specific outcome in mind, whether it's a meeting, a task, or a conversation? And how much disappointment do you experience when things don't go as planned? The Stoics teach that we should engage fully in the present moment, without becoming overly attached to a specific outcome. This doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals or intentions, but it means that you can't control everything, and that's okay. When you can accept that things may not unfold the way you want, you can release the pressure of expectation and instead focus on how you engage with each moment. It's about living in alignment with your values, rather than living for a particular result. This mindset shift can make a huge difference in your ability to rest at night. When you lie down, you don't have to carry the weight of unmet expectations with you. You don't need to judge yourself for what you didn't accomplish or get upset about things outside your control. You simply let go. Think about how freeing that is, to know that, no matter what happened during the day, you can close your eyes and say, "It was enough. I did my best, and now I will rest." The practice of releasing expectations doesn't mean you stop caring or trying. It means that you stop attaching your happiness and peace to specific outcomes. You free yourself from the need for validation or perfection, and you create space for contentment in the present moment. This is the essence of Stoic tranquility. Here's another way of looking at it. Expectations often lead to anxiety. When you expect something to go a certain way, you start to worry about what will happen if it doesn't. Will I meet the deadline? Will they like my work? Will I be able to handle the conversation? These thoughts generate stress, which, as we know, makes it harder to fall asleep. But by letting go of these expectations, you release the grip of anxiety. You no longer need to predict or control everything. Instead, you trust that whatever happens, you'll handle it. This mindset is incredibly freeing and allows you to approach each day with a calm, open mind. And when you bring that same mindset to your sleep, you'll find that your mind has less to dwell on, and it becomes easier to relax. Another benefit of releasing expectations is that it invites a deeper sense of gratitude. When you're not attached to a specific outcome, you start to appreciate things as they are, rather than how you wish them to be. You learn to see the beauty in the present moment without needing it to be perfect. You begin to appreciate the small wins, the moments of connection, the quiet pauses, the things that go right. Instead of looking for what went wrong, you shift your focus to what went right. And this shift creates a deep sense of peace. As you settle into bed tonight, practice this mindset of release. Let go of the day's expectations, the should-haves, and the what-ifs. As you do, allow your mind to relax into the present. Trust that everything you needed to do today has already been done, and whatever needs to be done tomorrow will unfold as it should. You've done your part, and now it's time to rest. This release is the key to a peaceful mind, and it's the practice that will guide you into deep, restorative sleep. Let's now explore an idea that might seem a bit paradoxical, but is incredibly powerful in promoting restful sleep: the Stoic acceptance of death. You might be wondering how thoughts of mortality could ever lead to peace. But here's the thing: the Stoics believed that accepting death was one of the most liberating practices we can engage in. In fact, they argued that thinking about death regularly could help us live fuller, more meaningful lives, and, ultimately, find greater peace. This might sound morbid at first, but stay with me. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote extensively on the subject, advising us not to fear death, but to use it as a tool for mindfulness. He argued that when we truly accept that our time here is limited, we begin to appreciate each moment more fully. Instead of living in a state of fear or avoidance, we embrace life more fully because we understand that it's fleeting. This understanding helps us let go of trivial worries and concerns. When you're aware that life is short, you begin to focus on what truly matters, and the noise of daily stress falls away. In the context of sleep, this acceptance of mortality is incredibly powerful. Many of us lie awake at night with our minds racing, worrying about the future, our to-do lists, or things we regret. But when you remind yourself that time is limited and that death is inevitable, suddenly the things you were worried about seem smaller. The Stoics would say that when you live with the awareness of your mortality, you naturally prioritize peace and focus on what is truly important. This perspective allows you to release the unnecessary burdens that keep you awake and move into a state of acceptance and calm. When you think about death in a Stoic sense, it's not about fearing it or obsessing over it. It's about facing it honestly, without denial. The Stoics were big on practicing memento mori, or remember that you will die. This isn't a practice of morbidity. Rather, it's a reminder that death is a natural part of life. When you acknowledge this, you stop taking life for granted. You stop worrying about the things that don't matter and start appreciating the moments you have. Think about the next time you lie down to sleep. Instead of focusing on your anxieties or frustrations, remind yourself that this day has come and gone and you've lived it. Now, the night is yours to rest and rejuvenate. Sleep is a gift that allows you to face tomorrow with fresh energy. The more you accept the transient nature of life, the easier it becomes to let go of the stress and distractions that keep you awake. Instead of lying awake, replaying every little moment of the day, think about how much time you've spent worrying about things that, in the grand scheme of life, are fleeting. By accepting death not as a source of fear, but as a natural part of existence, you free yourself from the burden of overthinking. Let's take this a step further. Think about the peace that comes from truly letting go of the need to control the future. In the Stoic view, the future is unpredictable, and trying to control it is an exercise in futility. What happens, happens, and we can only control how we respond to it. By accepting this truth, you stop holding on to unnecessary worries about what might happen. Instead, you focus on living with intention in the present moment. This kind of mindfulness is essential for restful sleep. The more you practice the art of living in the moment, free from fear about what is to come, the easier it becomes to release the thoughts that keep you up at night. The Stoics weren't advocating for ignoring life's responsibilities. They were simply teaching us to focus on what we can control: our actions, our reactions, and our inner peace. By living in harmony with the knowledge that death is inevitable, we begin to let go of the weight of what we can't control, which leads to a more peaceful state of mind. You might also find comfort in knowing that accepting death allows you to appreciate the time you have. The Stoics didn't see death as something to be avoided or feared. They saw it as a natural end to the cycle of life. With this awareness, they argued, comes the freedom to live fully. If we can accept that life is finite, we can stop worrying about wasting time on things that don't matter and instead direct our energy toward what brings us joy, meaning, and peace. This is a key aspect of sleep. When you're at peace with your mortality, you can let go of the sense of urgency that keeps you awake. You can rest easy knowing that you are living in alignment with your values and focusing on what is most important. Think about it. How much of your waking hours are spent fretting about things you can't control? How much of that worry is about things that may never even happen? The Stoic reminder of mortality helps put everything into perspective. When you focus on the present and the things that truly matter, you free yourself from the mental clutter that keeps you awake at night. Another way to bring this practice into your sleep routine is to reflect on your day before bed, with a sense of gratitude and acceptance. Consider the moments of the day that you are thankful for, the things you've experienced, and the connections you've made. By acknowledging the beauty and impermanence of life, you release the stress of what went wrong and what could have been. You let go of the need to perfect every moment and instead accept that you've lived today as fully as you could, knowing that tomorrow is a new opportunity. This practice brings a sense of peace that enhances your ability to rest. It's the opposite of the frantic, restless mind that worries about all that still needs to be done. Instead, by reflecting on the impermanence of life, you come to understand that today is enough. Whatever happened, happened, and you can now surrender the day, knowing that tomorrow will unfold as it's meant to. In closing, the Stoic practice of accepting death as a natural part of life isn't about fearing or obsessing over it. It's about understanding that time is limited, and that the things we stress over often pale in comparison to the bigger picture. When you embrace this awareness, you stop letting trivial worries dominate your mind. Instead, you make space for peace and tranquility, which paves the way for a restful, rejuvenating night's sleep. By focusing on the present moment and releasing attachment to future outcomes, you unlock the freedom to truly rest. Now, let's dive into the influence of nature on our ability to rest, and how the Stoics saw nature as both a teacher and a source of peace. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is the belief that humans should live in harmony with nature. Nature, in its purest form, operates without attachment or resistance, and it follows a rhythm that is constant and predictable. The Stoics believed that by aligning ourselves with nature's rhythms, both externally in the world around us and internally in our own bodies, we could experience a deeper sense of peace. Think about how the seasons change, how the sun rises and sets, how the moon moves through its phases. These natural rhythms are a constant reminder that the world is in motion, but it is also perfectly in balance. There's a lesson to be learned from nature, to flow with life rather than resist it. Many times, we find ourselves awake at night, wrestling with thoughts, trying to control outcomes, or stressing over what's next. But nature doesn't resist it, simply flows. The wind moves through the trees, the river flows along its course, and the stars move across the night sky with grace and ease. When you align with this natural flow, it becomes easier to let go of the tension and worry that often keeps you awake. You stop fighting the inevitable, and you begin to accept things as they are. Incorporating nature into your sleep routine can have a profound effect on your peace of mind. One of the simplest ways to align with nature is through your breath. Breathing is something we do automatically, and yet it holds incredible power to calm the mind and body. If you've ever watched the way the tide ebbs and flows, you've noticed a natural rhythm in its movement. Your breath, too, has a rhythm. When you consciously slow your breathing, you are mimicking the natural flow of the world around you. The Stoics believed in the power of controlled breathing to calm the mind and settle the body. In moments of stress, they practiced breathing exercises to remind themselves of the calm and order of the natural world. As you prepare for sleep, take a moment to focus on your breath. Inhale deeply, filling your lungs with fresh air, and exhale slowly, releasing the tension of the day. With each breath, imagine yourself syncing with the rhythm of nature. As you inhale, you draw in the calm energy of the earth. As you exhale, you release any tension, any anxiety, and let go of the weight of the day. This simple act of breathing with intention can help you relax and align with nature's calming influence, making it much easier to drift off into restful sleep. Nature also offers a reminder that everything has its time and place. The Stoics often observed the natural world and its cycles as a model for how to live. They saw that nature's cycles were perfectly balanced. There is a time for growth and a time for rest, a time for action and a time for stillness. Just like the seasons, our lives have their ebbs and flows. There are times when we must work hard, pursue goals, and achieve things. And there are times when we must slow down, rest, and recharge. Sleep is part of this natural rhythm. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And when we honor this natural rhythm, we can fully embrace both the activity of the day and the rest of the night. The Stoics taught that we should respect nature's cycles, including our own need for rest. When we fight against our natural need for sleep, when we stay up too late, overwork, or refuse to let go of the day, we disrupt this balance. But when we allow ourselves to rest, when we honor our body's need for sleep, we are aligning ourselves with the natural world. The Stoics understood that rest is as vital as work. Both are necessary for a well-balanced life. As you prepare for sleep tonight, take a moment to honor your body's need for rest. Just as nature takes a moment to rest in the cycle of the day, there's also something incredibly grounding about connecting with nature before bed. If you've ever spent time outdoors, whether it's taking a walk through the forest, sitting by the ocean, or even just sitting in your garden, you've likely experienced the sense of peace that nature brings. The Stoics often retreated into nature to find solace and to reconnect with the world around them. Nature has a way of quieting the mind and grounding us in the present moment. As you prepare for sleep, consider taking a moment to step outside or sit by a window, observing the night sky or the sounds of nature around you. This simple act can help you reconnect with the natural world, which can be incredibly calming and centering. By focusing on the natural world, on the stillness of the night, the movement of the wind, or the gentle rustling of leaves, you invite peace into your mind, just as the world outside continues to move in its natural rhythm. You too can allow yourself to move with ease and grace into a restful night of sleep. Another way to incorporate nature into your sleep routine is through the use of natural sounds. Many people find that the sounds of nature, like the sound of rain, ocean waves, or birds chirping, can help calm the mind and promote relaxation. The Stoics were keenly aware of the influence that external factors had on the mind and body. They understood that the environment plays a role in our emotional and mental state. In modern times, we often find ourselves surrounded by noise and distractions, making it harder to relax. But by bringing the calming sounds of nature into your environment, you can create a peaceful atmosphere that promotes restful sleep. You might try playing nature sounds or simply opening a window to hear the sounds of the world outside. These natural sounds can help quiet your mind and ease you into a state of relaxation. As you reflect on the influence of nature, remember that it's not just about the physical environment, it's also about your internal state. The Stoics taught that we should align our thoughts and actions with nature's rhythms. Just as nature has its cycles of action and rest, we too must honor our own cycles. When we embrace stillness, when we allow ourselves to rest, we are participating in the natural flow of life. We stop resisting the need for sleep and instead embrace it, knowing that it's a vital part of our overall well-being. The more we align with nature's rhythms, the more we are able to find peace, both in our waking lives and in our rest. So tonight, as you prepare for sleep, take a moment to connect with nature's calming influence. Allow your breath to slow, your mind to quiet, and your body to rest. Trust that you are following the natural cycle of life, working when it's time to work, resting when it's time to rest, and trusting in the flow of things. In that alignment, sleep will come easy. Let's now explore the Stoic philosophy of simplicity, and how embracing a simpler life can bring about clearer thoughts, deeper peace, and ultimately better sleep. In a world that constantly bombards us with distractions, excess, and complexity, the Stoics believed that simplicity was a key ingredient to inner tranquility. They saw the clutter and chaos of modern life, both external and internal, as obstacles to living a peaceful, purposeful existence. By simplifying your life, the Stoics argued, you make room for what truly matters, and you let go of the noise that can often keep your mind racing when it's time to rest. Simplicity isn't just about reducing material possessions or decluttering your physical space. It's also about simplifying your thoughts, emotions, and desires. It's about focusing on what is essential and removing what isn't. In the context of sleep, the benefits of embracing simplicity are clear. The more you simplify your life, the fewer things you have to worry about at night. You stop overthinking and start focusing on what truly matters: peace, relaxation, and rest. Imagine lying in bed, free from the clutter of your thoughts, knowing that you've prioritized what's important in your life. That's the power of simplicity. By focusing on what truly brings you joy and fulfillment, you make room for peace to settle in and guide you to sleep. One of the core Stoic practices of simplicity is the focus on contentment with what you have. In modern society, we are often led to believe that happiness lies in acquiring more things, more achievements, more validation. But the Stoics flipped this idea on its head. They taught that contentment comes from within, not from external possessions or accolades. In fact, they believed that the more we seek external validation or accumulate material goods, the more restless and discontent we become. The pursuit of more leads to an endless cycle of desire, never fully satisfied. Think about the number of times you've acquired something new, only to quickly want something else or something more. This cycle of desire creates an inner restlessness that doesn't allow for peaceful sleep. The Stoics, on the other hand, encouraged us to find peace in what we already have. By appreciating the present moment and being content with what we possess, we create space for relaxation and serenity. As you prepare for sleep tonight, think about all the things you have in your life, your health, your relationships, your skills, and take a moment to appreciate them. Acknowledge the things you've already achieved and the peace that comes with contentment. When you are content with what you have, there is no need to keep striving or wishing for more. You release the internal pressure to constantly achieve, and instead, you allow yourself to simply rest. The Stoics also believed in simplifying the way we approach our thoughts and emotions. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded with information, opinions, and distractions that can cloud our judgment and create mental chaos. Our minds are often cluttered with worries, doubts, and fears, making it difficult to find inner peace. The Stoics encouraged us to clear our minds by focusing on what is truly important and letting go of the rest. This is where simplicity plays a critical role. When you simplify your thoughts and focus only on the things that matter, your values, your goals, and your well-being, you free your mind from the clutter that causes stress and anxiety. In terms of sleep, this practice is invaluable. When your mind is clear and free from unnecessary distractions, it becomes much easier to relax and fall asleep. If you find yourself struggling with racing thoughts at night, try this Stoic exercise. Take a moment to examine the thoughts that are troubling you. Are they rooted in something you can control? Are they related to things that truly matter? If not, let them go. Remind yourself that you are not obligated to carry the weight of every worry and concern. By simplifying your mental landscape, you make room for peaceful rest. Another aspect of simplicity that the Stoics embraced was the idea of living in harmony with nature. This doesn't just mean spending time outdoors. It's about recognizing that our natural world operates with a sense of balance and rhythm. And by aligning ourselves with those natural cycles, we can achieve greater peace and well-being in the context of sleep. This means respecting your body's natural need for rest and following the rhythms of your own internal clock. The Stoics recognized that life is full of cycled seasons, days, and even our own internal energy levels. Just as nature moves through cycles of activity and rest, we too need to honor our body's need for sleep and relaxation. Trying to push through fatigue or ignoring the signals our body sends us can lead to burnout, anxiety, and poor sleep. The Stoics would argue that by embracing the natural rhythms of rest, we allow ourselves to recharge and restore our energy, preparing us for the tasks ahead. So, tonight, as you prepare for sleep, honor your body's need for rest. Recognize that, just like the natural world, you need periods of activity and periods of stillness. When you embrace this natural rhythm, sleep comes easily. Living a simpler life also means learning to let go of unnecessary attachments. We often become attached to certain outcomes, people, or things, believing that they are the key to our happiness. But the Stoics taught that attachment to anything outside of ourselves is a source of suffering. When we depend on external circumstances for our well-being, we place our happiness in the hands of things we cannot control. Instead, the Stoics encouraged us to focus on our own inner virtues and actions. When we rely on our own ability to act virtuously, we free ourselves from the need for external validation. This practice of detachment is incredibly liberating. It allows you to let go of the things that weigh you down, making space for peace. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself stressed or anxious about things that you couldn't change? The Stoics remind us that when we release our attachment to outcomes, we find freedom. This is especially helpful when it comes to sleep. When you stop holding on to worries, expectations, or attachments, your mind becomes clearer, and sleep comes more easily. The practice of simplicity isn't about deprivation, it's about recognizing that what we already have is enough. It's about clearing the clutter in our minds and our lives to make room for what truly matters. By simplifying your life, your thoughts, and your desires, you make space for peace, relaxation, and restful sleep. The more you align with this Stoic principle of simplicity, the easier it becomes to let go of the things that keep you awake at night. When you embrace simplicity, you open yourself up to a deeper sense of contentment, and in that contentment, you find the peace that leads to restful sleep as you lie down tonight. Remember, simplicity isn't about having less, it's about focusing on what's truly important. By embracing a simpler, more intentional way of living, you create space for peace and tranquility. Let go of the clutter, let go of the distractions, and allow yourself the rest you deserve. Now that we've explored the importance of simplicity, let's move on to another Stoic practice that can profoundly enhance your sleep: the quieting of the mind. In our fast-paced world, it's common to experience a racing mind, filled with thoughts that seem to flood in when we least need them. Whether it's work, relationships, personal worries, or even just the sheer volume of stimuli we're exposed to daily. It's no wonder that finding peace and rest at night can be difficult. The Stoics, however, taught that we have the power to quiet our minds and still our thoughts. Their belief was simple but profound. The mind is like a wild horse, and it is our responsibility to tame it. Just as a rider learns to control a horse, we must learn to control our thoughts, choosing which ones to entertain and which ones to release. This practice of mental discipline is incredibly powerful for fostering a peaceful sleep. When your mind is full of worry, regret, or a seemingly endless stream of thoughts, it's difficult to rest. However, when you actively choose to quiet your mind, focusing only on the present moment, you can invite sleep in with ease. Think about your thoughts right before you go to sleep. Are they racing, jumping from one thing to another? Do you lie in bed replaying the day or worrying about tomorrow? If so, you're not alone. This mental chatter is something many of us struggle with. The Stoics would encourage us to acknowledge these thoughts, but not let them take over. They would remind us that the mind, though powerful, is something we control. It doesn't need to race on its own. Instead, we can guide it, allowing it to slow down and find peace. One of the Stoic techniques for quieting the mind is the practice of mindful detachment. This involves observing your thoughts without judgment, acknowledging them, and then letting them pass. The Stoics saw this as an essential skill because it helps you gain control over your emotional reactions. Instead of being swept away by every thought or feeling, you become an impartial observer, able to choose which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones are simply distractions. When you lie in bed and your thoughts start to race, try adopting this Stoic mindset. Don't engage with every thought that arises. Instead, observe them, recognize them for what they are, temporary mental events, and allow them to fade away. You don't have to hold on to every worry or fear. As you practice this, you'll find that your mind becomes quieter, allowing you to shift into a state of calm, ready for sleep. Another Stoic practice that can help quiet the mind is the habit of reflection. Just as we discussed earlier, reflection is not about rehashing every moment of the day, but rather taking a moment to examine your actions, thoughts, and feelings. By reflecting on your day, you clear away any mental clutter that might be keeping you awake. This is especially effective when you integrate reflection into your evening routine. Before going to bed, take a few minutes to reflect on the events of the day. Ask yourself questions like, what went well today? What could I have done differently? Did I act in line with my values? Instead of getting caught up in the anxiety of missed opportunities or unresolved issues, use reflection to release those thoughts. The Stoics taught that reflection is about gaining clarity and understanding, not about self-criticism. When you reflect on your day with a sense of curiosity rather than judgment, you ease your mind and prepare it for rest. This gentle examination of the day allows you to release any mental tension, knowing that you've done your best and that tomorrow is another opportunity. There's also a simple, Stoic practice that can help you calm the mind and relax your body before sleep: controlled breathing. The Stoics recognized the power of the breath to influence our mental and emotional state. In fact, they believed that by controlling our breath, we can control our state of mind. When you lie down at night and feel your thoughts starting to spiral, try focusing on your breath. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, hold for 4, and then exhale gently through your mouth for a count of 4. Repeat this cycle a few times. As you do, imagine each breath helping to calm your body and quiet your mind. This practice not only slows your heart rate, but also sends a signal to your brain that it's time to relax. Breathing in this controlled way is a simple yet effective way to shift from a state of mental activity to one of calm. The more you practice mindful breathing, the easier it becomes to calm your mind, making it much easier to fall asleep at night. The Stoics also taught us to focus on the present moment. Often, our minds are filled with worries about the past or future. We dwell on past mistakes, replaying conversations or events, or we obsess about what will happen tomorrow. This constant mental chatter prevents us from truly experiencing the present. By training the mind to focus on the present moment, we can quiet the noise and achieve peace. The Stoics were masters at this practice. They understood that the only moment we truly have is now. Tomorrow is uncertain, and the past is gone. All we can do is be present in this very moment. As you lie in bed, focus on the sensations of the present. Feel the weight of your body against the mattress, the softness of the pillow beneath your head, the steady rhythm of your breath. This practice of mindful presence allows you to release the worries that keep you awake, grounding you in the here and now. Another technique to quiet your mind before sleep is the practice of mental imagery. This Stoic technique involves imagining a peaceful scene, one that evokes a sense of calm and relaxation. It could be a serene beach, a quiet forest, or a beautiful sunset. As you visualize this scene, engage all of your senses. Imagine the sound of the waves, the scent of the pine trees, the warmth of the sun on your skin. Allow this imagery to fill your mind, pushing out any lingering worries or anxieties. As you immerse yourself in this peaceful scene, you create a mental space where rest can thrive. The mind, like the body, needs time to unwind, and mental imagery can help it do just that. Finally, remember that mental quietness doesn't come instantly, it's a practice. The more you train your mind to detach from distractions, focus on the present moment, and cultivate peace, the easier it becomes. Just as the Stoics practiced self-discipline in their actions, so too can you practice mental discipline. By making these practices a part of your evening routine, you'll find that sleep comes more easily, and your mind is more able to let go of the day's distractions. When you approach your mind with the same calm focus that you would bring to any Stoic practice, you create the conditions for restful, restorative sleep. As you prepare for sleep tonight, remember, your mind is yours to control. You can choose to quiet it, to release the thoughts that no longer serve you, and to create space for peace. By practicing these Stoic techniques, reflection, breathing, mindfulness, and mental imagery, you allow your mind to settle into a state of calm, ready for the deep, restorative sleep you deserve. As we near the end of our journey into Stoic philosophy and its connection to sleep, let's delve into the transformative power of gratitude and how practicing it can profoundly improve your rest. Gratitude is one of the most effective tools for calming the mind, reducing stress, and fostering a sense of peaceful essential elements for achieving restful sleep. The Stoics recognize the importance of focusing on what we have, rather than what we lack. And this mindset can be incredibly powerful when it comes to letting go of the anxieties and stresses that might keep you awake at night. Gratitude shifts your attention away from the negative or the stressful aspects of life and instead draws your focus to the positives, to the things that bring you joy, contentment, and peace. In a world that often glorifies what we don't have, practicing gratitude is a radical act of mindfulness. By intentionally focusing on the good things in your life, you can train your mind to stop dwelling on the anxieties and worries that create mental clutter. This is especially helpful before sleep. When you take a moment at night to reflect on what you're grateful for, it becomes easier to release the burdens of the day and create space for rest. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, what you didn't achieve, or what you fear about the future, gratitude allows you to appreciate the present moment, leading to a calmer, more peaceful mind. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, frequently reminded themselves to be grateful for the simple things in life. Marcus often reflected on the small, everyday blessings, the ability to wake up, the privilege of being alive, and the opportunity to improve oneself each day. This type of gratitude isn't about grand gestures or major accomplishments. It's about recognizing and appreciating the small, often overlooked aspects of life. For example, the warmth of the bed beneath you, the comfort of your body resting, the quiet peace of the night. These simple things, when acknowledged, can create a profound sense of contentment. Think about it. How often do we get caught up in the stress of the day or the worries about what's to come, that we forget to appreciate the simple comforts around us? The Stoic practice of gratitude invites us to take a step back and recognize these moments of peace and joy. By doing so, we not only feel more content, but also more connected to the present moment, which is essential for a restful night's sleep. One of the key benefits of gratitude is that it helps to shift your focus. It's easy to fall into a cycle of negative thinking, especially at night when we reflect on what went wrong or what we fear. But by consciously choosing to focus on gratitude, you actively train your brain to recognize the positives in your life. You begin to see that even on the hardest days, there are moments of grace, beauty, and peace. This shift in perspective can significantly reduce stress and anxiety, which are often the culprits of restless nights. When you lie in bed, instead of replaying the negative events of the day, take a moment to reflect on what went well, however small. Maybe it was a meaningful conversation, a kind gesture, or even just a moment of solitude that brought you peace. These small wins, when recognized, can help you feel more grounded and at ease, making it easier to fall into a restful sleep. The act of gratitude also reinforces the idea that you are enough, just as you are. In a world that constantly pressures us to do more, be more, and achieve more, gratitude helps us recognize that we already have everything we need in the present moment. This awareness creates a deep sense of peace and acceptance, which is essential for a restful mind and body. But how do you incorporate gratitude into your nighttime routine? The answer is simple. Make it a practice. Before you drift off to sleep, take a few minutes to reflect on the things you are grateful for. It doesn't need to be a long list. Just a few moments of quiet reflection can be enough to shift your perspective and calm your mind. You could start by thinking about the positive experiences of the day, no matter how small. Maybe it was a warm cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, or the satisfaction of completing a task. When you focus on these moments, you begin to release the tension of the day. Instead of lying in bed, replaying worries or regrets, you focus on the abundance in your life, and that focus brings a sense of contentment. If you'd like, you could even keep a gratitude journal by your bed. Each night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They can be big or small, but the act of writing them down reinforces your focus on the positive. Over time, you'll begin to notice just how much you have to be thankful for, and this practice will naturally become a habit that helps you drift off to sleep with a peaceful heart. Another powerful aspect of gratitude is its ability to combat negative emotions, particularly fear and anxiety. When we are anxious or fearful, our minds tend to fixate on what might go wrong or what we lack. But by shifting our focus to what we already have, we disrupt this negative thought cycle. The Stoics taught that peace comes not from external circumstances, but from within. They understood that we have the power to choose where we direct our attention. Gratitude is a practice that helps us focus on the good, even when life feels uncertain. When you make gratitude a regular part of your nightly routine, you break the cycle of worry and replace it with a mindset of appreciation. This shift from scarcity to abundance allows you to feel more at ease, which is a key component of restful sleep. Gratitude also fosters a sense of connection to something larger than ourselves. The Stoics believed in the interconnectedness of all people and all things. By recognizing the good in our lives, we acknowledge the larger forces at play, whether that's the kindness of others, the beauty of nature, or the gift of a peaceful night's sleep. This sense of connection helps us feel more grounded and supported, which can ease feelings of loneliness or anxiety. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you remember that you are part of something bigger, and that thought alone can bring you comfort and peace. This sense of interconnectedness is especially important when it comes to sleep. When we feel connected to the world around us, we feel safer and more secure, which is essential for a restful night. Finally, gratitude allows us to embrace the present moment. The Stoics believed in the importance of living in harmony with the present moment, and gratitude is a key practice in doing so. By focusing on what we are grateful for right now, we free ourselves from the anxiety of the past and the uncertainty of the future. We stop dwelling on what went wrong or worrying about what might happen. Instead, we simply acknowledge the gifts of the present. This practice not only brings peace to the mind, but also helps to clear the clutter of thoughts that often keep us awake at night. When you practice gratitude before sleep, you invite calm into your life, allowing your mind to rest and rejuvenate as you prepare for sleep tonight. Take a moment to reflect on what you're grateful for. Let go of any lingering thoughts or worries, and focus on the abundance in your life. By practicing gratitude, you create space for peace, contentment, and restful sleep. The Stoic practice of gratitude reminds us that, even in the midst of chaos, there is always something to appreciate. And when we appreciate what we have, we invite more peace into our lives. As we reach the final part of our journey into Stoic philosophy for peaceful sleep, it's time to reflect on the overarching theme that ties everything together: inner peace. Throughout our exploration of Stoic teachings, we've learned that peace doesn't come from external circumstances. It's cultivated from within. This understanding is perhaps the most important takeaway for achieving restful sleep. Life is full of uncertainty, challenges, and distractions, and we can't always control the things around us. However, what we can control is our response to those challenges, and this is where Stoicism provides a profound path toward inner peace. The Stoics believed that the mind is the key to achieving tranquility, and by mastering our thoughts, reactions, and emotions, we can create a sense of peace that isn't dependent on the world around us. This inner peace is what allows us to let go of the stresses of the day, relax, and fully embrace the rest our bodies and minds need. And it's this practice of cultivating inner peace that is the foundation of deep, restorative sleep. Think about it. When your mind is at peace, free from worry, fear, and unnecessary distraction, sleep becomes a natural progression. But when your mind is cluttered with unresolved issues, anxieties, or racing thoughts, sleep becomes elusive. The Stoics teach us that peace isn't something to be found outside of ourselves, it's something we must nurture and protect within. When you begin to live with this mindset, focusing on what you can control and releasing what you cannot, you start to experience a greater sense of peace, and this peace naturally spills over into every part of your life, including your sleep. One of the most profound Stoic practices for achieving inner peace is the ability to detach from external events and focus on what is within your control: your thoughts, reactions, and intentions. The Stoics didn't deny that external events could be challenging or even painful, but they argued that the real source of our suffering comes from our reactions to those events. It's not the events themselves that disturb us, but how we choose to respond to them. This idea is particularly powerful when it comes to sleep. Think about how many times we lie awake, rehashing a stressful conversation or worrying about what might happen in the future. These thoughts keep us trapped in a cycle of anxiety, preventing us from fully relaxing. But the Stoics would advise us to recognize that we have the power to choose how we react to these thoughts. Instead of letting them control us, we can choose to let them go. This doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing difficult emotions, it means acknowledging them, understanding them, and then letting them fade away. This practice of detachment allows us to release the mental clutter that keeps us from finding peace. By learning to detach from the noise and stress of the outside world, we create space for calmness and tranquility, which paves the way for restful sleep. Another way the Stoics cultivate inner peace is through the practice of self-reflection and self-awareness. They believed that, by constantly examining our thoughts and actions, we can better understand ourselves and make more conscious choices. Reflection is a powerful tool for inner peace because it allows us to process the events of the day and release any lingering tension or negative emotions. Before sleep, the Stoics would often engage in self-reflection, reviewing their actions and thoughts to see if they had lived in alignment with their values. This practice not only brought them clarity but also helped them release any mental or emotional baggage they might have been carrying. Reflecting on the day before sleep allows you to process your thoughts and feelings, making it easier to let go of any negativity or stress. Instead of lying in bed thinking about all the things you did wrong or the things that went wrong, you can take a moment to acknowledge what went well and what you learned. By focusing on the positives and letting go of any regrets, you create a sense of peace that allows you to rest deeply. The Stoics also believed in the power of mindfulness and presence. They taught that the only moment we truly have is the present, and that by focusing our attention on the present moment, we can let go of worries about the past or future. This practice of being fully present is crucial for achieving inner peace and, consequently, for getting restful sleep. When we're focused on the present, we stop worrying about what happened earlier in the day or what might happen tomorrow. We simply experience the moment as it is. This mindfulness practice helps quiet the mind and release any distractions that might keep us awake. Think about it. When you focus on the present moment, whether it's the feeling of your breath, the comfort of your bed, or the quiet of the night, your mind becomes more relaxed and at ease. You let go of the worries that keep you up at night and shift your focus to the present, which is all you truly have. By practicing mindfulness, you create a peaceful space for your mind to rest and rejuvenate. At the heart of all these Stoic practices is the idea of acceptance. The Stoics taught us to accept what is without resistance. This acceptance doesn't mean passivity or resignation. It means acknowledging reality as it is and making peace with it. When we accept life as it is, we stop fighting against it, and in doing so, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and anxiety. Acceptance is particularly powerful when it comes to sleep. So many of us lie awake at night, resisting the fact that we are tired or frustrated with the fact that we can't fall asleep. We fight against the natural rhythm of our bodies, believing that we should be able to control it. But when we accept that our bodies need rest, and that sleep will come when we stop resisting it, we make space for peace. Acceptance allows us to surrender to the natural flow of life, which includes both the activity of the day and the stillness of the night. When you accept the natural rhythms of your body, you make it easier to drift off into a peaceful sleep, knowing that rest is not something to be fought for, but something to be embraced. In closing, achieving inner peace is the key to peaceful sleep. The Stoics taught that peace comes from within, not from external circumstances. By focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your reactions, your mindset, you can create a sense of calm that allows you to let go of the worries and stresses that keep you awake. Through practices like detachment, self-reflection, mindfulness, and acceptance, you can cultivate the inner peace that is necessary for restful sleep. As you lie down tonight, take a moment to reflect on everything you've learned. Release the mental clutter and embrace the stillness of the present. Trust that you've done your best today, and that sleep is a gift that allows you to rest and rejuvenate for tomorrow. By creating a peaceful mind, you invite peaceful sleep, and with each night of restful rest, you build the foundation for a more peaceful life